Thank you for tuning in to Mac Review Television, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Guo. When AIDS first became our lives in the early 1980s, people were scared, unsure what it is and how to prevent it from spreading. And today, we have on the program two representatives from the Taiwan AIDS Foundation to talk about the AIDS situation in Taiwan and their mission with the foundation to prevent the spread of the deadly disease AIDS. First, we have Ms. Iris Wang, who is a social worker with the Taiwan AIDS Foundation. Welcome.
I'm Iris Wang. I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you, Iris, for being on the Taiwan Outlook.
Thank you.
And next, we have Mr. Bevis Tseng, who is the Information and Human Resources Director at the Taiwan AIDS Foundation. Bevis, welcome.
Hello, Roman. I am Bevis. It's very happy to be here.
Okay. Well, Iris and Bevis, thank you for agreeing to be on the program today. And we're going to start off with a question that will give us an overall brief overview of the situation, AIDS situation in Taiwan. Can you give us some numbers, for example, in terms of the number of infected and reported cases of AIDS in Taiwan, and also the number of deaths so far that's being related to the disease, and what are the age groups that are mostly affected by this dreadful disease?
Okay, from 1984 to this April, the number of HIV infection population in Taiwan is over than 17,000.
17,000,
Yes.
Okay.
That means among 10,000 persons, around 7 to 8 persons are infected by HIV.
Okay. How many deaths so far, known deaths of AIDS?
After 1996, because we have very good AIDS therapy, heart therapy, HAART, so we don't have much people die because of AIDS.
Okay. And what's the age group that you have most known cases of AIDS in Taiwan?
Okay. Over than 70% infected by HIV is
In the age group of?
Yes, is between 20 to 39.
Oh, 20 to 39.
All young people.
Young people didn't know enough about the disease. Like I said at the beginning of the program, I remember back in the 1980s when it became a known epidemic, that people were uncertain, even scared about the disease. Of course, at the beginning, there was some homophobia. People thought that, AIDS is a gay disease. It's not going to affect the straight people. But certainly that's not the case medically. Of course, later on we have more exposure to the facts about the disease itself, and then people are better educated. A lot of people will say that education is probably the best prevention, to the spread of AIDS.
Yes.
And Bevis, I'm going to ask you then. At this point, it's been almost 30 years when the disease became an international, health concern. What's the latest on medical development for the treatment of AIDS? Iris just mentioned about, there is therapy available, but that's not for the cure of the disease, right? That's for the prolonging of the, incubation, period, so it doesn't become a full-fledged, disease. Is that the situation, the latest medical development?
Actually, the AIDS in Taiwan today, just like some chronic disease, like diabetes or high blood pressure.
Yes.
The disease itself is not a problem today because we have very good therapy in Taiwan and for free.
Yes.
So
it's covered by our national health insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
So what become problem is stigma. Okay. Stigma, social stigma. So a lot of people still discriminate HIV-infected persons.
Okay.
So they may have to work, but may have no chance to work.
Yes, of course. And there's still widespread discrimination against them, both in terms of their social circles as well as the prospects for employment. And I want to ask you also that out of the 17 known AIDS cases in Taiwan, what's the rough breakdown between the AIDS patients that contracted the disease through the use of drugs or IV needle, or compared to transmission of the disease through sexual intercourse? What's the rough breakdown? These two are still the major avenues of transmission, right? Am I correct? Yes.
1/3 of the HIV-infected person are MSM, men who have sex with men.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and one
that's
third,
1/3.
Yeah, 1/3.
Okay.
And another 1/3 is just sex behavior without condom.
Okay.
And 1/3 is sharing a needle between injection drug users.
Okay. Well, then let me ask you, let's shift the focus onto your foundation. And, I think a lot of people like myself probably know very little about the Taiwan AIDS Foundation. Can both of you, as people who are actively involved in the foundation, give us some background information about the foundation? For example, when was it first established? And what's your mission? What kinds of activities have you been doing in terms of promoting the awareness against the AIDS disease, and also educating the public in terms of protecting themselves against the disease of AIDS? Maybe I start with Bevis.
Okay. Taiwan AIDS Foundation has established in March 2005.
Okay.
And the foundation is formed by the academics, the medical professional works,
okay,
and the government official,
right,
and the NGO works,
okay,
who concerned about HIV and AIDS prevention in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And the foundation's mission statements are the first one is promote the healthy sexual relationship.
Okay.
The second is engage in prevention of HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
The third, about care for the patients.
Yeah, and for their families. Yes.
And the families.
Yes.
Even the babies.
Yes.
So we call on this enthusiastic participation in HIV works together against the HIV and AIDS.
Okay. But let me ask you though, I mean, you said the foundation was established back in March of 2005.
Yes.
It's barely 4 years old. You just celebrated your 4th anniversary just a few months ago. And why so late? The disease has been with us for nearly 30 years, or even longer. Why so late in Taiwan for people to have such awareness against such a dreadful and deadly disease?
It's a special situation happened in 2005. During that year, the percentage of the infected people is increased about 124%.
Because why that particular year?
Because injection drug users.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And so that proportion jumped up. So the overall infected cases in Taiwan jumped over 124% in the year 2005.
Yes. So I just mentioned the foundation is formed by the government officials and some medical professional works.
But Bevis, before 2005, were there other similar organizations that are doing similar kinds of things in Taiwan in the prevention of AIDS?
I think yes, but a lot of the foundations or...
but only part of their mission, but it's not something like the Taiwan AIDS Foundation is not fully focused and concentrating on the AIDS disease. Is that right?
I think in the first beginning, a lot of the maybe foundations, they only focus on the treatment.
Okay.
But for our foundation, we typically focus on the education.
Okay.
Because we do think education can is the most
It's the best
important
cure.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And Bevis, you're also the information director for the foundation. I know the communication with the public is very important. Education is a big part of it. How do you then, in your experience with the foundation, how do you try to convey your messages to the people, to the public in Taiwan?
As an NGO,
Yes.
NPO works, I have to say it's very difficult for us to attract the media's attention because particularly in Taiwan, too much news and other information, and for a foundation, it's quite not easy to catch their attention.
Okay.
So we usually use a lot of creativity ideas.
Okay.
Try to attract their attention.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah, well, hold that thought, Bevis,
okay.
because we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, and we're going to continue this conversation with both Ms. Iris Wang and also Mr. Bevis Tseng from the Taiwan AIDS Foundation about the kinds of activities that you've been doing in promoting and arousing public awareness of the AIDS disease. We'll be back in 3 minutes.